So you joined me down in Bournemouth. I stayed last night in a hotel with my pal. Thank you very much, Luke. Lovely to see you, mate. And today I got the train down to Bournemouth, this scorching day. So you joined me here. I didn't do lots of recording, guys, because like I said, I'm not going to record every single night I do and stuff like that, but I'll keep you posted on where I've been, how I've got here and stuff like that. So I got the train down. I got off the train about half an hour ago. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. It's a lovely, beautiful, sunny day. And I've got about a 20-mile hike to get to, I've forgotten the name of the place where I'm going, but basically I'm going further south, and then I'm going to be working on the farm for probably about a week or so, something like that. So yeah, it'll be the first time I'll kind of give you some kind of footage of what's going on there. But Bournemouth looks lovely, looks absolutely lovely, and this is why I was saying, you know, when I was up in the Lake District it was getting really cold, that's why I said I'm going to go south just to get that slightly milder climate. Lovely Ferris wheel. Let me spin you around actually. Pretty cool. I like it. I'm just going to head down to the beach as well and see what that's like. Take the shoes and socks off this time and definitely walk along those waves. It looks stunning. But yeah, I've got about a 20, I think I said this already, did I? 22 mile hike. So that's where I thought, okay, well, let's share this coastline journey with you guys from here down to wherever it is I'm going. I'll leave a little tab up so you see where I'm going. Yeah, and we'll see what we see on the journey, and I'll probably be sleeping out somewhere tonight. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. This time of night, I've always got one eye on where I'm going to be staying, stuff like that. So yeah, hope you stick around. Should be good. So what I didn't say was earlier, which I forgot about, it's my 1 year anniversary today when I left the caravan. So 365 days of doing this, and it's quite surreal. That's why I was with my pal last night, and then I was with him in Manchester. We stayed over at Manchester in a hotel. He was up here for work and then invited me over and said, why don't you stay with me for the night and then we'll drive down south. So he took me down to sort of Hertfordshire area this morning, and then from there I got the train down to Bournemouth. So that was lovely. I might have mentioned this earlier on in the video, so bear with me. But yeah, and it's now really nice to be walking along a coast front on the 1 year anniversary. So it's quite a surreal feeling. You know, a year ago today I left and didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know what I was going to be doing, how I would find work, or the people I'd meet, if I would have the stamina or endurance required to do this. Yeah, and I've surpassed all my expectations of myself. That's largely due to, I don't think because I'm particularly anything special, I think it's just due to the sheer love that I have for this way of life. I guess it's titled as a nomad, you know, but I'll make my own rules up regardless. You know, sometimes I'll stay in a hotel, other times I'll be in my tent, sometimes I'll be in a campsite, sometimes I'll be, you know, I'll just hike right through the night. Sometimes I'll stay with people when I work with them, stuff like that. So I just kind of make my own narrative up rather than being labelled strictly to being a nomad, if you know what I mean. But I guess I am. Just people with no abodes, that's a nomad. So yeah, I guess I am really. However, I guess it's not important. The important thing is that whatever we're doing, let's just hope it resonates with all of us the way that this now resonates with me, because for many years it didn't resonate. It didn't feel like I was in that flow zone of life. And I don't get it all right, you know, might be in the flow zone of life. That doesn't mean that everything I do is correct and, you know, right, and I get it all right and never foul or never get things wrong. I think we've all seen the times that I've got it wrong. You know, but it's been a wonderful journey. Yeah, a little bit stuck for words because I don't know what to say really. Kind of, it's just like I say, a real surreal type feeling that you've done this. And then to know that this channel's now got, you know, the next big number on it is 10,000. subscribers. Quite incredible. Yeah, it's amazing. So thank you so much for being here. Oh my God, is that the biggest ice cream you've ever seen? That's proper, what you call, that's money well spent, that. So I've just come across this place, which is about 5 miles outside of Bournemouth. It looks very open, but I'll always have a little walk through these type of things and see what there is. If anything else, it's just a kind of nice walk. I've probably walked, I guess, today. I know some of you like knowing that now, what I've walked. And I might actually try and buy like a Garmin or something like that, so I can keep hold of the stats. And then those of you that are interested in the kind of calories I burn and, you know, that kind of thing, then you can see it. But I think today it's probably up to about 12 miles now. But I've still got 14 miles to go. Yeah, so maybe it's a bit more than that I've walked, but I've still got 14 miles to go before I get to my destination where I'm going to be working. But let me spin you around. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, what I'm walking through. You can see it's very open. There's not a lot of tree lines, so there's not so many places where I'd feel safe. There's trees over there, but there's a very busy road right behind it, and the trees are very big. And I know a couple of you have asked, like, why don't I like sleeping under the trees? It's just purely because of the fallout. You know, if a big branch snaps and falls on the tent, I don't know it's coming, obviously, and I don't want to get squished. You know, I want to go to sleep and wake up soundly. I don't want to get squashed. And also, you get more kind of animals and that stuff that run around under the bigger trees and whatever else, like dogs or whatever. If people are walking their dogs, they're more inclined to go to the big trees than go in the bushes, if you see what I mean. So yeah, that's what we're doing. But I'm gonna have a little walk around here and see what we can find. I'm not hopeful for this one, but it's quite a nice walk anyway, so that's all good. But it's a really weird feeling, because this morning when I was with my friend, you know, we was up in Manchester at 4:30. We left Manchester at 4:30 this morning. And now, what are we on now? I think it's about, I'm really not sure. I think it's about 6 o'clock. I'll tell you what, I'll leave it up, a little thingy up so you can see it. A little tab up. But yeah, and I'm now down deep south. It's just so wonderful how small the UK is, that one minute you can be all the way up in the beauty of the north, and the next minute all the way down in the beauty of the south. It's tiring though. There's no two ways about that. You know, like if you've done a long journey of any type and you go home, you just kind of want to put your bag down or anything and just flop on the sofa. Those are the little things sometimes that I think, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to know where I'm going tonight. But also, if I knew where I was going every night, that wouldn't be much excitement to me, and I think I'd fall into the same old trap that I used to fall into, which was, you know, just one of a monotonous life. And it doesn't, not saying it doesn't suit everyone, but it certainly doesn't suit me, or I guess a lot of you. That's why you watch and why you listen to these long clips that I always do, that I think are not going to be very long, and then they always are. But look, there's a lovely outline over there. I'm going to spin you around again, but I'll start this side. There's tides out. That is the sea, in case some of you are wondering if it's a lake or whatever. It is the sea there. But in the distance, I love that sort of line where the hills are. Beautiful. Really nice. So lovely walk down to here. Looks like there's some little sort of blocks of flats down there and stuff. So yeah, I might even stop for a little while. My shoulders are killing me. And but again, I hate to say this all the time. I try and think of something different to say, but there isn't. This is kind of my life. I hit these zones where I get very tired and shoulders aching out, and there's always something in there. I always find something in there. I can't quite put my finger on how to explain that, but there's something in that. I guess the only way I can describe it is, if you've maybe done a long drive in your car or a journey or whatever, and then that train or that bus or that car comes to its final destination, and when you stop and you turn the engine off, it's just, and there's nothing, there's no sound, there's no noise, there's nothing there, and you almost go into a trance-like state for sort of 5, 10 seconds, 20 seconds before the mind comes in and says, right, come on, better have a cup of tea. Toss off, piss off, I was enjoying that, you know. But it is, I can only explain it that that's kind of how it feels. There's always something in there at the end of it when I find that tent place and I put my tent up, or even if I hike through the night and then the next day I put my tent up, there's something at the end of it that feels wonderful, and I can't quite explain that, but I'll try. I'll keep doing these clips. And I've just started to feel the first droplets of rain, so I'm so hoping it doesn't rain. I do not want it to rain, even though it's quite warm and tomorrow's going to be warm, so it'll be a bit easier for me to dry out and stuff like that. I'd rather it didn't rain. But again, if it does, it does. But don't rain, please don't rain. Let me stay dry tonight. I really want to have a good old sleep. No, we didn't find anything in there. I didn't think we was, but it was quite a nice little walk through, like I say. So now I just continue walking. See, my eyes always catch stuff like that there. Always catches stuff now. And it's weird because as time goes on, or as time has gone by, I get more and more kind of relaxed with where I sleep. Which is quite unusual, without it feeling like it jeopardises my safety. Like I've said in lots of my videos, I won't stop for the sake of thinking that I have to stop. You know, I stop if it feels safe, and that's all I stop for. So yeah, but we'll just keep walking through. And some people will probably question, I don't think you guys do, but people outside, if you like, would question and say that it just seems like an insane life, just walk around not knowing what you're doing. Yeah, I'd have to agree. But it's an insanity that I quite enjoy. You know, because to me the insanity a lot of the time in society is the way that we see the normal life. You know, get up to an alarm clock and go and do the work, do all that stuff. I'm not going to waffle on about that. We've heard that enough from everyone and all channels. But to go and do that and then come home, and we've had life laid out for us, and when we just serve that life, i.e., you know, we go to school, get the education, do all that sort of stuff. It's all, we're told how it's going to be, and we kind of carry that out and serve it. And to me, that's insanity. And no, guys, I'm not saying any of you are insane for doing that. I did it for 35 years, and you know, and then I didn't, and I just stopped. So yeah, I guess it is kind of insane doing this, but I've swapped one insanity that made me miserable for an insanity that makes me happy. Okay, you could tell the tiredness is coming in, can't you? It's the rambling time, the waffling time, so it's pretty cool. It's nice to share that though. It's nice to share as you walk around, just things that come up in my head, random things that come up as I talk and whatever else. You guys seem to like it, so that's good. So I just got off the bus in a little town called Wareham, which looks pretty lovely as well. Looks a lot quieter. I decided to come out of Paul. I was stopped off in a Wetherspoons, of course. I had a cup of coffee in there, and someone asked me, am I travelling far, etc. So I just told him the story and stuff. And he said, mate, I wouldn't try and find somewhere in Paul if I was you. It's too built up. He said, you'd be best off walking getting the bus into Wareham. If I walked it would have probably taken a couple of hours, 2-3 hours. He said, there's a little bus due now, jump on the bus, go into Wareham, it's a lot quieter. And he said there's a town there, so you could run into the town, get some food. And then there's some stuff a little on the outskirts of the town. He said you'll have a lot more chance there of finding somewhere to sleep. So, as I always say, I will always take the locals' advice on stuff like that. I'll always listen to them. And yeah, I can see what it means. It's kind of, although it's quite busy here and it's got a lot of things going on, so I'll spin you around. No, so there's a few things going on here, which is good. I can sit in a pub and have another cup of tea or a pint or something, and then I can head out. And as we come in, it did look like there was a lot more greenery around, stuff where I could probably find a bit of shelter. So yeah, feels good to be here. So yeah, okay, bye. Okay, so it's a little bit exciting now because look at this sky. That's not too far away from me, and we just had thunder and lightning. So I've got to get a real shift on to try and find somewhere to pitch. I'm not going to be fussy because if it's going to be thunder and lightning, no one's going to be out in it. So that's the perk of having that rain coming. So. But I've got to get a shift on, like somewhere like that, because I don't want to get caught out in thunder and lightning. I want to be in the tent. Ideally, I mean, you don't really want to be out in thunder and lightning, but it is kind of exciting. However, I just spoke to one of the locals who was on a boat over the other side of the road. He said that this is a possibility. It's a bit of a public area, but it's only little. And I'm kind of like, if no one's going to be out in the wind and in the thunder and lightning, then I might just go somewhere around here. I'll spin you around, you might get a better look. Oh, I don't actually know if the lens is clean. Hang on. Oh, it's not too bad. I'll give it a quick wipe. Oh, sorry guys. Don't know if that's any good or not. But yeah, I'm kind of... I could just tuck in that corner there. The grass is a little bit long, but you know, it's one of those. I don't know. Maybe there. But I have to look out, like from there, right opposite this over here. Why is that lens not cleaning up? That's a bit better. I mean, it'd be lovely to go in that corner, but I'd be too exposed, so yeah. So it's an awkward one because you don't really want to be amongst the sort of high trees or low trees. It's always a bit awkward when there's lightning around. But I just go with my gut instinct. So I feel like somewhere like that, tucked in, there's like a little low bush, there's plenty of high trees over there, there's the little boat masts that are sort of 70 foot in the air. To take the lightning away from you, if you see what I mean. This one's a little bit high, but it's not the highest thing around, so I've been out in thunder and lightning before as well, so it is quite an experience, to be fair. It's one of those things, like I'm always saying, I wouldn't wantonly put myself in this position, but if it's going to happen, it's quite exciting, and I don't have a choice. This is the thing that I like about this journey. I don't have a choice. I've got to find somewhere to sleep, or it's a case of, you know, I kind of find some shelter somewhere. So I just spoke to a lovely young lady and what could be her son or brother, and I don't mean that flattery. I genuinely couldn't tell. She suggested that I come up round this part, which is by a little church. I think I've actually come to the wrong side of where she said though, but she said, yeah, if I go up past the church, walk a little bit further up, there's a couple of stone walls there, and I could be able to, she said she's sometimes seen the odd tent or two go up there, so I'm going to go and find that. But the sky is really starting to get a little bit aggressive, so it's going to be an interesting night. It's going to be very interesting because there's obviously a graveyard there and a church, and I'm very, very tired, so I've been going since 4:30 this morning now, with my pal, getting the train down, hiking all day. And don't forget, there's all the other days that I've been doing this before that as well. So but it's just amazing that because it's kind of fun, I'd rather it not be happening if I'm honest, but because it's also kind of fun, I don't get tired in the traditional way of getting tired. Like, I don't sort of get a bit like, oh, this is awful. I don't get like that, but I do get worn out. Does that make any sense? I'm probably tired. Right, it's starting to get really wet now. It's starting to rain quite heavy. I've even put my very camouflaged backpack waterproof cover on. The only one I could get was the luminous yellow one. But yeah, it's getting quite wet here now, so I'm just gonna seek shelter anywhere. You kind of, when it gets like this, it kind of, you feel a bit like you're cornered, because you've got to keep your safety in mind for now, from both the tent being seen by the wrong person, if you like, or the police, and also from the wet. I don't want to get wet, so I'm just going to get under this bit of shelter here. and stay under here for a little while. Yeah, so never. These are the side of it that they're kind of, they create the best memories, but they're not nice when they're happening. You know, I've said that 1,000 times. I'll probably say it 1,000 more times. Whoa, did you see that? That would be interesting to get some of the lightning that's going on. It's right above us, but I think any second now the heavens are just going to really open up. So it might just be a case of staying here all night, because I'm not going to go. I am not going to go out in that and get completely saturated. So I might put my waterproofs on and just sit on the floor. Can you hear that sky though? Isn't that awesome? Let me keep recording this sky, see if we can get some of this. It's fantastic. Just lovely, wonderful nature going on. I kind of wish I was in the mountains a little bit, but that's probably not the best place to be either. Oh, I'm so tired. Wow, hope that got that. It's amazing. All that natural energy going on, like, just blows my mind. We're part of that. Well, I'm kind of hoping it's leaving, so it wasn't the biggest thunderstorm of all time. The rain's really coming down there, so I think I'm going to be stuck under here all night long. Which is kind of not the nicest fault when things like that happen, but it's part of it. It's part of it. It's like if you want, I've said this before, but I'm going to say something totally different because I'm tired and it's just random and it's completely, I've waffled so much I might as well just keep waffling. If you want to open up a cake business, you know you're going to occasionally burn a cake and you're going to have to throw it in the bin. But I just really want to go to sleep, sit down and we'll get into bed, pull the covers up and go to sleep. But it's amazing really, because I've always liked sort of thunderstorms and stuff like that, so be out in it. Anyway, night night. Well, it looks like the thunderstorm and lightning, thankfully, have passed over, so it wasn't the worst one in the world. And it looks like the rain is easing off slightly, so I'm hoping another little while that can drift off and I might just go and set my tent up back in that first place I was at earlier. But I'm glad I was in the bricks and mortar, or in this little bit of shelter for the actual thunder and lightning. No, here comes the rain. It's coming back again. But it's funny because I was going to leave a little clip saying this is where the journey's becoming really quite easier for me now. That doesn't mean easy, by the way. That means easier than what it was. Because there was a time I didn't have any money in this situation. I've got a couple of quid in my pocket, so I can buy. Thankfully, I bought a couple of Scotch eggs and I've got a drink there, so I can stand here for a couple of hours and be perfectly fine until the rain runs out. And if it doesn't run out, that's okay as well. I've got my roll mat. I'll just put it on the floor and get inside my sleeping bag. I won't sleep, but I'll just sit here. But also, I was going to say that when a little bit more money comes in, I'd be able to book. There's a few hotels around here that would be about £60 or £70 for the night. So I was going to say I could quite easily then go and book myself into one of them to be safe. But this is the key thing, guys. This is and I really mean this. I promise you I do. This is why these things have to happen. Like this has to happen, because if this doesn't happen to me and I just can book myself into a hotel, well, where was the journey? I didn't have one. You know, I didn't have a journey. So experiencing the journey with everything that I've got is the wonderful part of it, even though it's not enjoyable. Like now, you know, it's a bit grotty just standing around. But it's okay, it's not the end of the world, it's just a night. You know, it doesn't affect me, if you see what I mean, in any major way. But yeah, so I have to experience the journey, and I'm grateful for that. It's kind of making more and more sense to me as time goes on that I need these things to happen to me. I need to experience them, you know, and in that way, I guess, not that this journey will ever end, because it won't. None of us will ever end the journey if we're on one. But for the sake of the conversation, when the journey does end, I'll be able to look back and go, anything that sort of, if my channel's big, or if money does come in, or you know, if I'm doing podcasts or whatever, there won't be any part of me that doubts that I deserve that. You know, it would be like, yeah, I worked hard for that, and I experienced a lot of things for that, and that's the importance of having a journey. And it's on this journey that would then develop in me the peace of mind, or the state of mind, or the mindset and the experiences that would then be able to create the guy that might do podcasts or be on interviews. And that, you see, does that make sense what I'm saying there? Have I made sense there, or am I rambling? I might do another cut on this. I'm not sure if I release this, because I'm aware I'm kind of going around the houses a little bit, but there you go. Anyway, it's all real. I don't know why I said that, but here you are. Well, at last I managed to get out of that little shelter where I was. The rain stopped, so I put everything away. I've come into a pub, have a nice pint of Guinness, always a nice way to end the day. And then I'm actually going to be sleeping in a shop doorway tonight. Someone has told me to go. I said that, I think I might have said it in the last clip, I can't remember. The guy said go and sleep in a shop doorway. It actually used to be his shop doorway, and no one will be there till 10 in the morning. So forgive the lighting again, please, guys. But I can't go in the shop doorway. I can't sleep in the shop doorway, because every time you walk in there, a light comes on. You know, one of the sensor lights comes on. So that's a bit of a nuisance, because it would actually be quite nice. So the only choice I've really got is to stay at this first part that I showed you by the river. Not really ideal, because it is just as I walked back across the bridge, which is just there. It is, you can see it quite clearly. So it's not ideal, but I'm going to go, right, see if you can get your bearings on the screen. No, not that. There we go. So there's the bridge. Right, have you got that? Bridge, river, and then it will go a little bit blurry, but I'm going to go there. So if I put the back of my tent behind the tree and have the front facing where I'm standing, then at least I can sort of see out, and no one can kind of come up behind me, if you like. So, but yeah, I think that's probably where I go. You know, if I was getting a bad gut instinct to not go there, then I wouldn't go there. So it's okay, and I'll stay awake for a little while. It'll be a while before everything's set up anyway. So by that point, everyone would have probably gone home and left the pubs, and it's quite a quiet little town. So yeah, I'm going to go there. Okay, bye-bye. And that's it, all set up. Just there, obviously. I've got all my stuff inside, so let's go for a little walk out here and see what it looks like. So if I turn you around, this is coming out of the little square where I am now. Let's go up on the bridge. I think you might be able to just make it out there. That there is the tent. Yeah, there you go. So now if I zoom out, so that's it. So you can see what I mean. It's quite exposed, but there's No one here. Everyone's gone home. Well, there's one or two people floating about, but you know, it's like I say, if I didn't feel safe, I wouldn't stay. It's not going to be a very pleasant night though, and it's been one extremely long day. I'm going to go in this tent, and I think I'm going to drop straight to sleep. I am so tired. Night, night, guys. Good morning. So I slept like an absolute log last night. I didn't even get inside the sleeping bag when I first opened it up. I just put it out on the airbed, got on top of that and just crashed, and then woke up at, I think it was about, I got in here at midnight, so probably woke up about 2:30. It was cold, so I got inside the sleeping bag, gone to sleep, and it's now about 7:45 in the morning, and I can hear everyone moving around and stuff, but I stayed asleep. It's absolutely dog tired yesterday. It was a lovely sleep though. But anyway, let me spin you around. Let's have a look outside, see what's going on, see all these people. Me coming out with a camera must just be the strangest thing to people. Oh, that's what the noise was. I just realised I could hear some noise, and it was obviously someone's been changing the bins. I just noticed because they've got fresh black sacks on them. But I'm going to get straight up, pack away. I've hardly got anything out last night either. Shoes and socks off, talc and powder the feet. I always do that, by the way. My feet are the number one thing I look after, probably more than anything. Yeah, why don't I just show you? Shoes and socks off. I got the sleeping bag out, the air mat out, and that was it. So now we just need to find a coffee. It's Sunday morning here, 14th, Sunday the 14th. So yeah, here we go. Let's go and see what today is.